What is up, true believers? It's Mason here with Comics and Crosses, where we discuss the eternal truths behind our modern mythology. And today is a special day because I am sharing my non-spoiler, spoiler-free review of The Batman. I got to see it last night in a early IMAX screening on March 1st, which is pretty exciting because it comes out this Friday, March 4th. So a lot of people are already pumped to see this movie. I just wanted to give my feedback on the feel of it, the performances, the plot, and what I would grade it. So let's get into it, and I hope that this will, honestly, I hope it will encourage you to go check out the movie. What is up, true believers? Eternal truth. Eternal truth. Eternal truth. Eternal truth behind our modern mythology. Okay, so the plot of this story takes place obviously in Gotham City, where Batman is early in his career. Bruce Wayne has been at this whole Batman thing for maybe a couple years, and he is pondering if he is making a difference in the city. At this time early in his career, he has a relationship with Jim Gordon, who is a detective on the police force, and he is sort of known and recognized, but is not, we'll say not a fully fleshed out Batman that he may one day become. The Riddler, though, pops up in this movie and becomes a big adversary, and a very different Riddler than we're used to seeing. So maybe you've seen some of the trailers, some of the images, but this is a very much Zodiac Killer inspired version of the Riddler. Golden State Killer, something like that, who likes to toy with the media and leave riddles, obviously. So, and a very cool take on the character. Here's what I'll say about the Riddler. Paul Dano is an excellent actor. I think he really kills it in this role, even more so than how they wrote this character for him. His performance is very strong and very believable. As with all things in this movie, the whole tone of everything, as I said before, is very realistic. It is extremely realistic. Things that Batman does, things that other people do, it's just meant to feel very realistic in a way that's almost kind of surprising and makes you uncertain of where things are going to go. So the Riddler's no different. There's a scene towards the end of the movie where we really get to see more of who he is and get him to kind of explain himself, that left me feeling like, man, this person is truly mentally ill, and I really could see this being a real person. Alright, so how this movie is going to stack up and compare to other Batman movies is obviously going to be a conversation that people are having. I mean, there's been Batman Returns, Batman Forever, Batman and Robin. There's been, Ben Affleck Batman. More recently, there's the Dark Knight trilogy, which literally Heath Ledger won an Oscar for playing the Joker. So there's a lot of really big Batman movies and performances that are going to be fresh in people's minds. This one probably can most closely be compared to the Dark Knight trilogy. But what's interesting is that where the Dark Knight made Batman feel like it was set in the real world for the first time, maybe, the Batman feels more realistic. So I feel like Christian Bale's Batman and those movies felt like they were set in what was the real world today, but it was still a action-adventure blockbuster movie. There are still larger-than-life things happening. And while there is some big action and some big events that happen in the Batman, I would say overall it feels as if it's more realistic. So, the feel, the tone of everything, the action that's happening, there are some moments that are really big and really like, wow, but there's just a couple moments like that, and I feel like the Batman movie is definitely has a much more realistic tone. You don't see Batman doing too many things that don't feel like they could actually be done. I feel as if Batman rarely leaves the ground in this movie. I mean, he, so there's not a lot of him jumping around on on buildings or whatever crazy stuff. You kind of see him just kind of being more ground level, which really adds to the realism factor. So maybe that'll be a plus for you, maybe not. I encourage you to make that decision yourself. Okay, Robert Pattinson as the Batman. He gets an opportunity to really show off the detective side of the Batman in this movie. Along with that, though, I would note that I felt as if the plot drove this story more than performances. I thought there were amazing performances. I thought that the actors were really top-notch, top caliber, and that a lot of them did even more with the role than was written for them. In particular, Zoe Kravitz, Selena Kyle. I felt like she fleshed it out even more than what they gave her on paper. But when it comes to Batman, I felt as if he was able to be a detective. We were able to see things that we had never seen from Batman, but I felt as if Robert Pattinson did an excellent job, but it was more of kind of the plot leading, which was okay because everything made sense, and where the story was going naturally developed out of this unraveling mystery that Batman is trying to solve. So when you look at his Bruce Wayne character, I felt as if both Batman and Bruce Wayne were more limited, while Robert Pattinson as an actor may have great range. I don't know. The character of Bruce Wayne or Batman was very limited in range. And that, I believe, was intentional. That had to do, I think, right part and parcel with this whole idea of a more realistic Gotham and world for the Batman. It was more realistic in that Batman didn't feel like a Hollywood hero, whereas Bruce Wayne or Christian Bale or some of these other Batman, Ben Affleck may feel more like an action hero. Robert Pattinson's Batman really felt like a real person. And sometimes with real people, they don't make all the impressive lines, and they don't, have these big, proclamations of what they stand for. So that was different. I would say that I liked his performance, but I'm also feeling as if I don't know Batman after seeing this movie. So I need to know Bruce more. I don't feel like I didn't know enough to enjoy the movie. I certainly did, but I'm certainly wanting to know more. So a character in this movie who's another staple of the Batman is Alfred. So we had Andy Serkis playing Alfred here, and Andy Serkis is a character who, his Alfred is one who I kind of wish we could have seen more of. But the way that he was done very well. I think you'll have to decide for yourself, but I felt as if they made the most of every moment he was on screen. Although it's very different than other takes we've seen. We definitely feel more of what feels realistic. Again, I'm going to use that word a lot, but a realistic dynamic to him and Bruce's relationship. That is different than what we've seen. You wonder how this person taking care of him, being like a surrogate father to Bruce, how could he allow him to do these crazy Batman things? What is the dynamic of that relationship? And I thought they really made the most of every little moment to kind of communicate in a very subtle ways a tense relationship where Alfred is both a disapproving father and an enabler at the same time. And I think we know from real human dynamics that that is a lot of fathers. So it felt really real. It felt like their relationship made sense. I feel like the little windows that we got to see into Bruce, who was very guarded, played very guarded in this movie, as naturally a recluse billionaire, who's crazy driven with purpose might be. So it was very, the dynamic between the two of them, very well done. So Jim Gordon is portrayed by Jeffrey White in The Batman, who is a great actor. I think we've all seen him in some great stuff. And there's an interesting dynamic to him and the Batman. They seem more like a team than they've ever been in the movies, more kind of leaning on trusting each other, while at the same time we don't know much about him. There's not a ton given to flesh out his character, so could be almost considered a waste even of his acting talent. But you know, there's going to be more sequels, there's going to be more opportunities, so maybe he'll be more fleshed out in future movies. Okay, there's a lot of talk about the Penguin character in this movie because Colin Farrell is completely unrecognizable. He totally became a different character, a different person, and the Penguin is really dynamic, is really fun to watch. He's probably the most entertaining character in this movie. In a way that really nails it and is fun without going over the top. He's kind of a quirky mobster, you know, kind of a classic, fits that mold, while he really makes it his own at the same time. I think you're going to enjoy watching him, and I can see why HBO is working on a show just about this character, because it could be a whole world unto itself, really. So Selina Kyle as Catwoman is great in this movie. Zoe Kravitz, I think that she fleshes out the character. I think that the only thing that hurts her in this movie is the script. I felt as if some of the decisions for her felt a little weird, or we didn't know enough to really jump on board with. But however, she makes more of this than even she has given, and she's given a lot too. She's a great Catwoman. She really embodies the character well. I've heard somebody say that Michelle Pfeiffer did it better, but I disagree. I think this is Catwoman. If you read Batman Year One and you know, The Long Halloween, this is Catwoman. This is definitely Catwoman Selina Kyle. She does it great. She really makes the most of it, fleshes out this character. At times I felt like she almost looked too young for the role. Like, she has just such a baby face. She's so thin and young looking, but she's actually 33, so I looked it up and I was surprised to find out. So, but great job. Zoe Kravitz is really adds to the movie, does not take away from it. I think you're going to like her performance. Okay, so all in all, my summation of this movie is this is not your typical superhero film. This is not, I'll tell you what it's not. It's not a blockbuster, which is different for Batman. I mean, it's going to do blockbuster numbers for sure, but it's not treated like a summer blockbuster movie. Even the fact that they released it in March, very different for Batman. And very appropriate in this case for the Batman. The thing it reminded me most of was actually the Arkham Asylum video game series. It has that tone, that texture, that grittiness, that grounded in reality kind of feel to it. And so I think people are really going to like that. Obviously, it was a very successful game series, so modeling it after that was not a bad choice. Has a very gothic feel to it at times, almost Tim Burton-esque, and mixed with Christopher Nolan's realism, while keeping this feeling like an independent film, which is a pretty incredible feat in my opinion. It feels like Zodiac or Seven, but with Batman. So so it's really something else to see. I felt as if the way that the story unfolds and develops, I didn't know what was going to happen next, and that was a weird feeling for a comic book movie. Towards the end of the movie, we were getting near the climax, and I thought, I don't know what's gonna happen next. And it really surprised me, because usually in these movies, you're like, okay, now this is gonna happen, whatever. And they're just painting by numbers, but this was really done as a truly unique, independent, art house kind of film. And it does have its big action moments. You're not gonna be disappointed. It certainly has some crazy action, but even all of that felt grounded, felt realistic. It made sense. And so I thought it was a great portrayal of the Batman. And the thing is, the themes in this movie, very well done. Very poetic, very profound, getting to the levels of, say, The Dark Knight or Batman Begins, Christopher Nolan's movies, having those kind of, that level of craftsmanship in the story itself. And I am going to save my biblical perspective idea on the themes for my spoiler review, full review that I'll release this Saturday, because I don't want to give away things that I think I couldn't do it without giving away too much of what happens and where the story goes. So I'm going to hold on that, but please check back, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like this, share this with people who maybe you're going to go see the movie with. And also on the Comics and Crosses YouTube channel, you're going to get the morning show on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 8 a.m. Central. Jump in and talk comics with me and all sorts of different things. And stay posted as well for other videos. You can hit the notification bell down there in YouTube and to make that happen. So God bless everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and let me know what you think of the Batman. Peace.